Yeah, I think we're getting ready to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're getting ready to get started. We have we've overrun by 6 minutes from the start time. So let me join you, Mr. English. Where are you? Let me see. I hope you can see me. I hope you can see me. Yes. Do we refer to you as Dr. Anthony English? Is it Tony? Is it Mr. English? What's going on?
Yes, you can just call me Tony. That'll work great.
Oh, Tony is great. Tony is great. I have a few friends, with that name, so that's easy for me. That's very easy for me. So you can call me Danny as well. So pleasure meeting you. Pleasure
And
meeting
you
you.
as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So, Louis, I think we can start. I just wanted to just get cracking because we have a very tight schedule, and I know that Mr. English has given us his time. I'll call you Tony when I'm addressing you, but when I'm talking to the crowd, you're Mr. English. So there you go. But today's subject is really important. It's probably the most lucrative, the most marketable one. Also, it's one that you can't run away from, because you can't build a house without security. And then past the doorknobs and the padlocks, you have, fire alarms, you have, anything to do with smoke alarms, and then you've got burglar proofing, it's incredible. So we do that physically, we do that with everything we own, security for our cars and stuff like that. So the word cyber is really more sort of like it's something that they coined for information technology. Anything related to computers, anything in that space of virtual reality is what we refer to cyber. So security is obvious. Everybody knows what that is. It's how do we protect our data? How do we protect the integrity of what we do with our systems? How do we protect ourselves from fraud, from various things? Because everything is always susceptible to being attacked by something, so as we get better with securities in terms of the cyberspace, the hackers or the would-be people who are into pilfering, into stealing, into robbing, they exist in the world. So they're going to do that in the digital world, in the electronic world, in the cyberspace, as we call it. And that's what's happening. So all institutions that have sensitive data that obviously they're entrusted, by the public banks, and again, I'm not going to go into the subject because, to be honest with you, I'm a user. I'm not really a technical person. I want to allow Mr. English to do his thing because he's the master in this space. But really, just to bring it to the layman's, understanding, and some of you are really, really, qualified in this space, and some of you it's the first time you hear about this kind of stuff, or you're curious, or somebody dragged you here, or somebody said you have to do it because you can make lots of money, and you go, but what is it? So it doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're a beginner, or whether you've used this before, or whether you're in that industry already, or whether you're looking to switch careers. This is something you can benefit from. So we want to give you a synopsis, and I did send a message earlier to Mr. English to say we're not going to take up too much of your time. So I want to honor that promise that we're going to keep it really short and tight. And then, if you're interested, we can then definitely recommend you to join us, and we can start training you to get you ready for this very, very interesting and lucrative business in the cyberspace world. So, cybersecurity, Mr. Tony English or Mr. Anthony English, over to you, sir.
Thanks very much, Danny.
Yeah,
I'm going to share my screen
yeah.
just to pop up a slide. So I've got a lot of slides here, but I'll make these available. Danny, if you guys want to share this slideshow, you're more than welcome to. So I can send it to you in a PDF format to make it easier to share
Sure,
around.
sure.
This slideshow covers a lot of different topics related to AI and cybersecurity. But I'm going to try to focus it down a little bit for us because I'd written a bit more content than I need. So I'll just try to focus on the important things. I'm VP Security and CISO at a company called WorkJam. We have clients around the globe. We have offices, our head office is in Canada and Montreal, and we have an office in the UK and one in Australia, and then staff sprinkled around other parts of the world. So we have various needs to be compliant with cybersecurity and privacy requirements. And AI can either help you do that, or it can actually make it much more difficult to do that. So I'll talk about those different approaches with AI and cybersecurity today. Well, so I have a few topics here. We're going to be quick on some of them, but I'll try to get into the depth where we really need it. But this is really meant to give you an overview of AI, what it means, and then how it becomes important in cybersecurity and in your daily operations as well. So, quick definition, and this is not rocket science here. I try to boil it down to some really high points on AI. AI is not an intelligence on its own. It requires information, it requires input, requires output to be checked and processed. Today's version of AI is not what we think of when we think of science fiction style artificial intelligence. That isn't where we are yet. But it is several different versions. When you talk about AI, you're talking about different things at times. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. So AI does not think like a human. AI isn't magical. It doesn't actually work on its own. It needs data. For anybody in the cybersecurity field or the information security field, that's your very sensitive point with AI. The fact that it needs data to work. That data then becomes my target. If I'm a hacker or if I'm someone interested in getting your information, I aim for the data that your AI is using. And that's where I want to get to. If I get that data, I've got the recipe, basically, the cookbook for whatever your AI is doing. I can figure it out, I can pollute it, I can morph it, I can adjust it, I can influence it, so I can actually turn it into a weapon against you or against your organization if I like. So that data is a really critical bit. The AI around that engine, is what a lot of us are used to seeing with tools like ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or any of the other myriad versions of artificial intelligence tools that are out there today for us to use as end users. So here's our layering. These are some of the terms you'll hear when we talk about AI. If you get into a technical discussion or if you get into a detailed discussion about AI, have some of that content in here as well. But you don't have to go that deep in order to use it and understand it and secure it. But here's some different iterations of artificial intelligence. There's AI itself, which is what we see every day. There's tools out there that exist that use AI, things like spam filters or intelligent firewall devices that make decisions based on what they see, sort of threat intelligence-based decisions. These tools are using an AI decision matrix in order to do those things. There's also simple things like a chess game, a chess tool that plays against humans or can teach you to play chess. Today, those things are driven by AI, and they have been for quite some time, but larger scale systems in the past. Today, we're down to PCs and even mobile devices that can do these things. Machine learning, or ML, this is how AI today has actually developed itself into things like ChatGPT. With machine learning, an AI engine or AI software can take large amounts of data and process it very quickly and bring back responses. Again, that processing and that process is not and a thinking mind. It's not magical. It's not some secret thing. It's very methodical ways to process data. This has been happening for decades before we had anything like AI, through processes known as big data. Big data is another way that machine learning actually developed. Big data was collecting a lot of information, and you picked that information from that large pool. You categorize it, you processed it. This is what machine learning essentially does. However, machine learning can learn from what it learned about the data as well. So as it learns to think the way you want it to think, it will, or operate the way you want it to operate, it will continue in that same mode. So let's say I'm working with a tool like ChatGPT, and I tell it, look, you're going to work like a security expert, and you're going to do this following research for me. You're going to compare two ISO standards for me and tell me the differences. The next question I ask after that, or the next prompt I use, we'll talk about the term in a moment, will be based on that previous one. So the next prompt will also assume I'm wanting the tool to think like a security expert and work with those ISO standards, unless I tell it otherwise. That kind of pattern recognition in machine learning mode is what really makes AI interesting when you use it. It makes it useful. Deep learning is going a bit further. With deep learning, you're doing more advanced kind of techniques, things like video production, or you're building deep fakes, for example. Maybe you're doing kind of AI-based training modules that you're building. You can do all that stuff with a deep learning type of AI tool. Today, there's not a big difference. When I'm using a tool to generate video, an AI tool, it's not saying I'm using deep learning. It doesn't tell me that, but I know that it is because it has to. It has to process video and it has to process written information. So it's using more tools at the same time, more techniques to generate output. Generative AI is where we are all at today. This is where we're using all of these different pieces together in one package through tools like ChatGPT and Claude and the other ones, all the other generative AIs that are out there. Generative AIs are also your most dangerous tool you have inside of your organization. It's one that can create other problems for you. We'll talk about in this set of slides. I've put some descriptive text in here, slides in here about how these machine learning models, these systems, these AI systems actually learn. But an important thing for you to know is there's training data. This is the raw data you're giving over to your AI to learn from. This is what you're giving it for its source, its information. Then you're going to train it. So you're going to have it run through the data and learn about the data, you're going to tell it what type of data is in there. You're going to tell it what categories it should group it by. You're going to give a bit of a framework to work from. And then at the end, you'll have a set of output data or a trained interface to the data. That's your model. You'll hear that term a lot in AI. And we'll talk about that model idea again. And there's 4 different ways that these systems, these AI systems learn. There's supervised and unsupervised, reinforcement, and self-supervised. Not all of these actually exist today in full form, but supervised and unsupervised learning are very common in AI models. If you get this deep into AI, you're probably building AI interfaces, or you're using it to build an AI-specific model for yourself, for your own use. This is becoming easier, and a lot of people who do this kind of work are learning to do it now with AI tools. You use AI to build AI and make AI better. There's a new term for this in the developer world called vibe coding. Vibe coding is where you use AI to build source code. You can also use AI to build AI code to make your AI better at building source code or more AI. You can kind of self-replicate it. That vibe coding is also one of the more dangerous ways that information is being leaked from organizations. A recent report that came out today, it was on ZDNet, I believe, online. They were talking about this, where current research is showing that vibe coding is leaking more confidential data on the internet than any other way it was leaked before. So there's risks around this stuff we'll talk through. And that's an opportunity as well. If you're in the cybersecurity field or you want to get in that field, securing AI is the hottest topic today. It's one that keeps me up every night. I'm constantly working on angles to secure AI. So what is generative AI? This is just a term. Again, you can read this slide or not. It's up to you if you want to know this stuff. But generative AI is what we're using every day with ChatGPT and Claude and so on. It uses pattern recognition in the training data to figure out what is the correct answer that it should be giving to you. There are dangers to this because generative AI can do things like hallucinate, or it can be prejudiced output, or sort of prone to a certain pattern. It'll stay in that pattern mode and not think outside that pattern, which isn't great. It can also produce information which is not meant to be revealed if it's given the right misled instructions. So generative AI isn't perfect. You should expect it to need to have a human to check it and check its output. That's called human in the loop in the AI world. You keep the human in the loop because you need the human to check to make sure the AI is accurate, that it's correct and plausible, and that it's fair, and that it's open, and that it's actually not being biased in its output. I'll just mention a couple things here at the bottom you should pay attention to. Attack, ATT, ampersand, or sorry, the and symbol, and CK. If you haven't checked out that framework, you should. If you're in the security field or you want to be in the security field, they have an attack framework called, they have a framework called MITRE, M-I-T-R-E, which is specifically for AI. And it basically lists all the ways you can attack AI or attack with AI against systems and against data sets. That MITRE framework, M-I-T-R-E, is something you should look up online if you really want to get good at security in AI, or you want to get quickly build up your knowledge on AI security and how to secure it. That's a good guide. We'll talk about some more. So Gen AI, generative AI, it's more than just a chat bot that you see like on a website or something. It has different ways or different modalities that it can be used and it can work. So there's text, there's source code, there's images, there's audio voice, there's video, and then there's something called multimodal, which is combining these different other modes for different purposes. The multimodal is what's used to do things like building fake videos, inaccurate representations of someone speaking when it wasn't that person speaking and they weren't saying those words. Well, the multimodal operation for a Gen AI tool is what does that. And you build a deep fake. Don't worry about this if you don't want to get this deep, but one key concept here right in the middle of the slide is the word token. This is one that will bite you with AI, especially if you're using AI in a commercial environment. Tokens can be your friend and your enemy, because you only have a certain number of them whenever you buy an AI tool or you subscribe to one. You have a certain number of tokens assigned to you for use for that month perhaps, or for that day, depending on what you're buying. Maybe for that year if you bought an enterprise level tool. You burn those tokens up, and then you have two choices. Either you buy more tokens or you stop what you're doing and wait for your tokens to refresh. This is a common complaint amongst developers using AI tools. They constantly run out of tokens because they burn up all that runway of tokens they had, and then they have none left, so they want more to continue their work. That's the cost side of tokens. The other thing to think about tokens is they're not all priced the same way for each generative AI tool. So ChatGPT and Claude price them slightly differently. And it's strange because it also depends on how you use the tokens, what purpose you're using them for. They'll burn faster for source code development than they will for, say, me going in and building, a document I'm trying to get built. So there's different ways. One quick way to think of them is they're usually pieces of words or words that are tokens. So make sure your prompts, when you type into a generative AI tool that's like ChatGPT, don't waste your words. Shorten your prompt. Don't be polite. Don't add extra pleases and thank yous and things like that. It actually increases your cost for using that tool unnecessarily. This is also a way that recently there was a hack, actually, of tokens stolen from a generative AI supplier. They were stolen and repurposed for nefarious use to build some hacking tools. So they are valuable. They have a dollar value to them. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more terminology. We're almost to some good stuff here, but key things to know about building what's called a foundational model or foundation model. This is taking the time to build content for an AI that you're going to use for your own purpose. Maybe you're building a business. Maybe you're augmenting a tool you already sell, a software tool. You're going to add AI to it. You're going to build what's called a foundation model for that AI engine to run from. It's going to contain the framework of what you're going to tell it to do, what data you're going to tell it to use, how you want it to perform. You're going to train it to do this stuff. And training sounds like a long job. Like if you train a dog, for example, it takes a long time. Well, it's not that difficult with an AI tool. It's actually quite straightforward. I'm going to tell you about some places you can go and practice this stuff too online. And some of these places are actually free. There's also open and closed models. There's some examples on the left. This is a list of closed models. I just keep an eye on these because these ones are ones you hear about every day. ChatGPT, Claude from Anthropic, Google's Gemini, all those commercial products, they're considered closed because you cannot edit them. You can't make them work in a different way. You can create new submodels with them that you own that are for you specifically, but you can't say force them to work in a completely different way than what they're designed to do, because obviously they're owned by somebody. But look at the bottom of that first box on the left-hand side under trade-offs. I would definitely pay attention to that. Your prompts. A prompt is the data you input into the AI tool when you ask it a question. It's whatever you're typing in, but your prompts leave your control. They've gone somewhere else to be processed, which is not good if you've got highly confidential information. These are probably not the tools you want to use unless somehow you've negotiated a contract to house the tool only inside your own environment and never leave your environment, never go to the internet. It is possible, by the way, especially with Gemini. I've actually done this, but make sure you keep that in mind. Your data that you're typing in can leave your network. The vendor will decide how the tool is going to work, of course, because they own it. OpenAI owns ChatGPT, Anthropic owns Claude, and so on. There's a cost as well that will build up very quickly. This is what I mentioned a minute ago with the token costs. This is the crazy part of AI. If anybody who says it can just wholesale replace people, they haven't actually used it yet in a corporate environment, because it can cost you more than a human financially, because you have to feed it. You have to own the tokens. Well, if you run out of tokens, you need to buy more in order to finish the job you started. I promise you, you will see that as a cumulative effect over a very short time. It builds up quickly. It's a runaway racehorse if you don't maintain tight control on it. And even then, maintaining tight control means you're going to limit your use of AI, which is probably the opposite of what you intend to do with AI. Then one on the right here, these are open models of AI. Llama, for example, and Ollama is a flavor of that as well, if you've heard of Ollama. You can actually download this to your laptop and set up your own AI engine on your computer, or you can put it on your own server, or whatever you want. DeepSeek, Mistral, they're all the same. You can all operate this way. With this, you can build your own set of models, your own database, and you can make it do whatever you like. You own all the cost around hosting that then, so you better have a powerful machine to run this on, because AIs take a lot of resources to run, and they might be slower, and you might not be a specialist in building these models yourself yet, so it's a bit of a learning curve. There are ways you can learn it though. RAG is the most common way you see AI being used in a commercial sense. RAG helps to reduce hallucinations. Basically, with RAG, this is most common term you're going to hear. You're going to build a database, you're going to fill it with information, and you're going to tell your AI engine, only use that database, never go to the internet, never leave my infrastructure. That's a RAG type of Gen AI implementation. It's my most favorite way to do it if you're building your own tool with AI. If you're building something you're going to resell to other people, that's the safest way to do it. Okay. So there's some names here. Again, these slides I'll make available so they can be distributed if so desired. But these are some popular names for different tools. My most favorite one on this screen is one I've used a lot and I love it. It's down near the bottom under eval and safety, Prompt Foo. If you haven't downloaded this yet, you should download it and try it out. Prompt Foo is a testing tool. It's a pen testing tool for AI. And it uses, by default, the OWASP top 10 for LLMs. These are the top 10 known risks or threats in AI. When you're trying to build your own AI tool, there's 10 categories of threats that could be realized into actual open risks in your system if you don't check for them. So I've used PromptFoo to test for these, and it is very fast, very accurate, and it gives excellent reporting. There's an open source version of PromptFoo you can download for free. I've also downloaded and used Garak in that same row near the bottom, Garak. That's also open source. It's much deeper. It goes deeper into the AI engine. So you wouldn't use this tool, and probably you would use PromptFoo, I guess, but not Garak. Garak probably would not be appropriate if you're using someone else's AI engine like ChatGPT or Gemini to run your AI solution that you've built for your app. You would not use Garak. Garak goes too deep. It actually tries to reach inside the ChatGPT engine to look for issues, which wouldn't be a good thing because they're not going to fix whatever you tell them you found. LlamaGuard I've used as well. Very, very good tool. Deep Eval is also good. I shouldn't leave them out of the list. There's a lot of open source tools that are available for anybody in cybersecurity if you want to test an AI solution to see what it looks like under the hood for security, and if it's going to meet international and global standards and frameworks for securing AI. And we'll talk about some of those. For self-hosting as well, you may want to look at that line because a lot of these are open source, some are not. LM Studio is a really sweet tool. It is not completely open source. You can get an open source version, but the real power of it comes from the commercial version. But LM Studio is a very powerful tool for self-hosted AI engines. Ollama is there as well, a very, very good tool. I've used that one as well. So how security teams will be using Gen AI today? There's a few ways. My team at WorkJam, we've used it in pretty much all of these methods so far, I think. Just double checking. Yes, we have. One great way we've used it recently that I found was really effective was processing and getting immediate information on an ongoing cyber attack. When we see there's a possibility for an incident occurring, you can actually feed your AI engine, if you've built it correctly and built it securely, you can actually feed it information from large data sets, and it will process much faster than, say, a SIEM, S-I-E-M, Security Incident Event Monitoring or Management Program. It does a better job than that tool does, and that tool's been around for 15 plus years as a security tool. Very, very effective. So we use it for alert triaging. We use it for detection engineering for sure. And as a kind of a co-pilot, it can be handy for a co-pilot mode in incident response to help speed up your response to security incidents. You can also use it as that in the middle, in the bottom row, as a red team automation tool. What that means is basically you're going to use an AI tool to run pen testing against systems to see what's weak and what you can get into. Do not rely 100% on a tool, an automated tool of any sort, whether it's AI or otherwise, to do your testing for you. You have to put in the manual work as well if you're doing security testing, but it is a great way to do a fast set of pen tests. So how do we secure AI systems? AI is a double-edged sword, as I mentioned at the start of my presentation. It certainly is a target because it contains data. And because it might be on, let's say, a website, it's a great way to publicly embarrass a company as well if you can violate their AI agent and make it say things it shouldn't. This happened at the beginning of the big AI curve that we're on now. It happened early in the game. Gemini was quite embarrassed by, well, they weren't called Gemini at the time, but it was a Google tool that was quite embarrassed by a breach, and the tool was saying racist and horrible things when people asked it to answer questions. This is done through a few different techniques. You can learn about some of these techniques in the OWASP top 10 for LLMs, and also in the meter attack framework for called Atlas, specifically for AI attacks. Yeah, there's also that problem at the bottom, the cost of AI. If you build an AI prompt, automated prompt set to give instructions in an automated way to an AI engine, and you haven't built them correctly, you can have what's called a runaway agent loop. It's sort of like what we used to call in the old days of development, we call a go-to loop, where the program just keeps running and running and running, never gets to a conclusion. If you do that with AI, your bill is going to be humongous. If it isn't your own AI, if it's commercial AI, it's going to be very costly. So be careful of those types of development methodologies. We'll talk about a standard related to that and how you can manage it through a standardized approach. AI is also a possible amplifier of existing risk. Social engineering and phishing are using AI now constantly. I just recently triaged an event where AI was used to build a malicious PDF that didn't even have to be copied to your machine. As soon as you open it to view it, it would immediately trigger an AI-built attack that would steal tokens and embed the attacker inside of your infrastructure within a matter of milliseconds. It was extremely efficient, a very fast attack. AI helps build these types of things if you have the tool to do it. Deepfakes, we've all heard about these. These are also a huge existing risk. Fake information, fake news. You can generate this stuff very easily now. And malware mutation. This is also something that's happening today. I don't know if you're familiar with the NPM attack vectors that are happening right now in development, but they're called supply chain attacks. Developers often use the same set of core source code modules, reuse them from sources like GitHub, for example. That saves a lot of time in development and also makes sure your code works the same way as everyone else's. It standardizes it. Well, you can actually pollute that with AI-driven tooling and make that into an attack vector. So people are downloading your mutated code, which then mutates itself once it's downloaded repeatedly every time it's copied. The NPM attack called Shai-Hulud used that very method recently. So here's some risks. These come from the OWASP top 10 for LLMs. These are what can go wrong with AI tools. With any kind of an LLM tool like a ChatGPT and that generative AI tooling. This is a very hardcore list. It's a lot of stuff to digest, but go to the website for OWASP top 10 for LLMs. You'll see them all there with the descriptions and possible remediations you can put in place to prevent these things in your LLM tool or your AI agent that you've built for your website or whatever. Prompt injection is definitely a #1 attack vector. It's happening today. Worry too about the supply chain, as I mentioned a second ago, especially on the AI side, look out for where your AI is being used or being called from. For example, if you have a vendor who tells you we're using AI to supply our services to you, as a security person in the company that's got those services coming to them from that vendor, I want to know, okay, tell me about your AI, describe it, like where is it? Have you tested it? Have you pen tested it against at least the OWASP top 10? Can you show me the pen test? Does your AI call somebody else's AI? Because 90% of the time right now, I'm finding vendors that tell me they're using AI aren't using their own AI. They're using an AI that calls an AI tool someone else owns, like ChatGPT or Claude, or sometimes a whole raft of LLMs are called from other vendors, other suppliers. I have to know that because security standards and frameworks and compliance frameworks require that I know this, but also it helps me to realize what is that nth tier supplier doing? What is that supplier doing who's behind my supplier with my data? Have they got it? Are they using it? Are they storing it? You have to know this. So watch out for that supply chain risk, the third-party providers. Okay, defense in depth. A safe LLM, this is just a description of what, a ChatGPT or, an AI agent or something like that should look like, how it can be made safe. Logging, and on the AI side, by the way, that last box on the far right under audit, logging is very poor right now, I'm finding with AI generated tooling or AI integrated tools. Make sure you're logging, because if you don't know what's happening with your AI, you can't troubleshoot it, you can't go back and correct it, you can't figure out patterns. So make sure you understand that. So where things are heading. Probably the number one fear that I have is the first one in the top right corner, autonomous attack agents. Today they're happening. It's been proven in some research online. You can find this stuff if you want to look for it. Researchers have built autonomous attack agents that basically are AI engines built only to attack and extract. They go in and they take whatever they want and get out. They operate so fast that human response time to an AI-based attack would not be sufficient. So you need extra tools to respond to these types of attacks. These tools are available. There's tools out there that have AI built into them by default now. Some of our old school security tools have AI included by default. I would do my research on anybody who said my security tool is using AI. Because what I'm finding is a lot of these guys are just patching AI onto an existing tool that already runs a certain way, and it really isn't doing much to help. So you want to look for people actually in this field. I have a friend who's a IEEE researcher and teaches at university, and he set up an AI company in Europe, and he's built an AI tool set that's for security, that's pure AI from the ground up. And he built it using his own AI engine. And this was before ChatGPT and the other tools came out. That tool I know is pure AI. I know when I use it, I'm getting the fastest speed I can get out of a product to respond to a security event. Deepfakes definitely are a huge thing. This is happening now, and I've seen examples of this where people have actually used fake phone calls to employees using the voice of the CEO. It sounds like they're speaking to them. These voice-based deepfakes are very dangerous. The video-based ones are, and so are the fake emails, because they look so real now with AI-generated output. We definitely need to be faster on patching and updating, especially our AI tooling and our AI products. This is a huge area for security as well. And then phishing. The phishing world is transforming. The stuff I am seeing happening now with phishing because of AI, much scarier than it's ever been. On the defender side, so some things you can use and incorporate AI into. Adding AI to your security operations center, agentic SOCs is what it's called. Great idea. AI red teaming, yes. Make sure your AI red teaming includes both sides of this. So in this case, if you look in that box, they're talking about Garrick and Pirate. These are ways to scan your AI tooling as well as scan things like source code developed by AI to make sure it is secure. Okay. How can we make ourselves a little more secure? Well, the EU AI Act is probably the best guide to use right now today, because it contains the building blocks that everyone else is borrowing on now. Now that AI is already out of the barn, they're using other standards and frameworks that exist to try to piece together their own approach to security. There's privacy, fairness, and accountability. These are cornerstones of the EU AI Act. And they're also incorporated into standards like ISO 42001. So make sure when you're building or developing AI tools or developing with AI tools, you're building with these three core principles in mind. This is just a build on that. Adding transparency as well is really important. Models have to be documented, and you should keep track of what you're building with your tools and what each model or each component of your AI is supposed to do, making sure you're not putting in unfair modules or unfair add-ons onto your models that bias the output from your AI tool. Accountability is really important too. We get this from our customers all the time because we have AI built into our app at our company, our WorkJam app, and they want to make sure that the information going into that AI tool is tracked somewhere in case they have to come back and ask us, look, on this date and time, did this person really do this in that tool or not? So we have to have some accountability on our side too for what's happening inside the AI. We have to tell them. Privacy has to be respected, even though it's AI. That database of data is a huge source for data leaks if you're not careful. And make sure everything's tested and you have an actual process in place to test it. So here's some guidance that I threw in here as well. The EU AI Act I've already mentioned. Very important that you look at this, because the EU AI Act, if you want to do business anywhere in the EU, you can get fined if you're not abiding by it now. They have the process in place. So you want to make sure you take care of that. The EU AI Act is a boring thing to read. It's not written for excitement. It's not a novel, but there are nice summaries of it as well available online. And I'll just jump down one just for a second. The ISO standard 42001, it actually incorporates the elements of the EU AI Act that you need to worry about in an operational way. So if you look at something, if you want something that's more operationalized, look at the ISO 42001 standard and apply that. You can get your company certified to that standard. You can get yourself certified to that standard as well as an individual. Very good way to go if you want to move forward in an AI security role. That's the standard you should focus on. Get yourself certified and then help companies get certified to it. The NIST AI Risk Management Framework is a good larger size framework as well. And then there's different rules at the bottom. I just want to jump to this one. There's sector rules, DORA in the EU, HIPAA in the USA. They incorporate AI controls, and so does PCI DSS now, and the ISO standards, the baseline standards of, the baseline standards of ISO 27001 as well have some elements of that coming in now. Oh, yeah, this was quick, but almost there. Make sure you're constantly learning. You're only as good as what you know in this business, either in technology or in cybersecurity, in any field, I guess. You have to make sure you understand what AI is and how it's working and how it's evolving. I recommend if you haven't embraced some training specific to AI, take it on. The major vendors like Microsoft, AWS, Google, but also more esoteric type training like through ISO standards and other ways, they all give you the baseline information you need to get good with AI and to learn how it works and what you need to worry about with it. Also look at GSDC's training offering too, because of course they have training courses dedicated to these topics. So start small, don't try to eat it all at once. It's a big pie, there's a lot to consume, but I've put on here some standards and frameworks, and really importantly for you, some hands-on labs you can try. These are online, these are available for you to try out. There's even a bunch in some other sources as well. This is just the start of the sources for you. There's some reading lists. There's podcasts that are really great too. CyberWire Daily, I listen to that one. I like Risky Biz as well, and Practical AI is good. There's communities, the OWASP Gen AI Security Project. There's DEF CON, there's MLSecOps community, and at the bottom there's some conferences as well and things like this event. All very handy for you to be familiar with and stay on top of AI. I put some terms here in a glossary at the end of the slideshow so you can get some lingo going. When you're talking to people about AI, you'll understand some of the stuff that comes out of their mouth, some of the stuff you're reading online. And just some quick points, and that's it. So let's just pay attention to generative AI. It's really deep learning at large scale, but because it's evolved from the old models of big data processing, our old defense methods don't work against it. It's not going to help you today to use your old methods. And I'd also add, because of shadow AI in organizations, the security model has to evolve as well. There's tools built now to track AI use and AI output of data across your entire organization. Look for those newer tool sets. Those are the ones we want people to move towards, and those are the ones you could help to sell to customers and implement in your own organizations and stay safe with AI. If you haven't looked at this yet, you should. You can just Google it or look it up on AI. How do I secure my use of AI in my organization? These tools will pop up. Inputs. Whenever you're typing in a prompt, typing data in a prompt in ChatGPT or in Claude or whatever, that's coding. That's that's data that's going into that engine for it to use it. So make sure you're not putting in confidential data. Make sure you're being careful with how you're using these closed AIs, these public AIs that are commercially sold to you, and make sure you understand what you bought. If you use a free version of ChatGPT for confidential work, you've just leaked all that confidential data because the free version will retain it and learn from it. It's stored at OpenAI. If you use a commercial version, they don't do that, but I'd still be very careful what data you put in a commercial version of any of these AI tools. There's different ways to use a model, as we talked about: chat, RAG, agents, fine-tuning. Prompt injection is a huge bug. It's a major issue with AIs. Ethics and regulations are converging. It's a slow process because some nation states resisted using any kind of AI security controls, but now it's becoming essential. And then be ready for continuous learning as usual. Whew, okay. Thank you very much for your time today.
Wow, Tony. Wow, wow, wow.
Oh, you went mute, Danny. Here you go.
Oh, Derek, Mr. Danston, you are mute.
Am I mute? Okay.
There you are.
No, okay, now I'm here now. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying, Tony, thank you so much. This has been my favorite session since we started these sessions. That the value is just incredible. It wasn't just a masterclass. This was a tutorial that I think you'd have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for, as incredible. The stuff that you revealed to us, I was quite worried because I was thinking, oh, okay, cybersecurity, I'm thinking Tony's going to float, like start throwing things at us. I'm thinking, what's that? What's that? But I got it. And you're a fantastic teacher. You're really, really good at the way you explain things with your calm demeanor is fantastic. So thank you so much. So I wanted to ask the audience if you have any comments, questions, so that we can start to get ready to close the session. But I have a question for you, Tony. Whilst everybody's asking their questions, my question is, and I think it's pretty obvious, but I want to ask. Maybe it's not just me thinking it. Um, does AI attack AI? And if I guess the answer is what I'm thinking it does, why would it do that? And how do you stop that?
And that's a really good question because that's one that anybody in security research is looking at right now. You can use AI to attack AI. The reason you do that is because one AI against another is far faster than a human against an AI. The reason why you might want to do that as well is to get the data behind the AI that you're attacking. We think that's going to be the next realm in the AI cybersecurity field, where you're going to build an AI engine built to only attack AI engines. The defense against that, I'm betting you're going to know, is going to be more AI. You're going to have AI to defend your AI against AI.
That's interesting. That's an opportunity as well as a massive risk. It's a massive, massive risk. And yeah, and are we in this area yet where um, the governing bodies and different governments around the world are majorly concerned about? Because you could have a 17-year-old kid create their own AI and it can wreak havoc literally everywhere. What is the mitigation for that? For instance, people who are running banks and various institutions like that.
Sadly, it's not being taken seriously in the nations where it needs to be taken seriously. But in the EU at least is approaching this from a more mature level than other countries.
Mm-hmm.
In Canada, where I am, we've got an AI initiative on the national level now. We're building an AI center of excellence, and we've already got research happening in there and things coming out of it to help secure us against AI-based attacks and secure our own AI infrastructure against attack. The EU is the same way. In the United States, what happened recently, you've probably heard of this thing with Anthropic and the US government, where
Yeah,
Anthropic said, we're not going to let you use our AI for warfare or for spying on people. We're not going to let that happen.
yeah,
And then the government went after Anthropic, and they've been attacking them ever since. So it's two different ways of looking at things.
yeah,
Some governments want to weaponize it immediately and use it
yeah.
as a weapon itself. And I am 100% certain that's already happening.
Wow, wow, wow. So are we moving away from guns to, cyber attacks as a real, most lethal form of attacks? Is that where we're heading, or are we there yet?
The magic sauce for the leaders of warfare is drone plus AI. And it's
Wow.
already happening, as you know, in the Ukraine. There's some
Yeah,
talk about AI being used to coordinate drones
yeah.
because it can think and work faster than a human.
Wow, man, that's incredible. I'm excited. Let me not take up the entire question session. Now, somebody's asking, the only question I would have is it still worth learning the coding aspect of things, or should we look at securing it? If yes, what techniques should we leverage to fight against automated programs?
Yeah, really good question. There's a really good reason to learn the coding aspect of it, the coding side, and use it. I have a member of my team that's built with AI, built an AI tool to scan our source code and find issues and errors faster than a human ever could, and at a more deep level, a more coordinated level than a human can. This tool that this member of my team he built this in a weekend using AI tools.
Okay.
We can use it now for testing our source code, and it's producing results we could never get before. So
Hmm.
it's very valuable to learn the basics of the AI coding. I highly recommend it. And securing against AI and securing your AI, I just give you some quick tips in this slideshow, but definitely make sure you're building your AI based on a security framework, like ISO 42001, for example. It gives you guidance on how to put AI in place in a secure manner.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow, wow, wow. We have more questions for you, Tony. That is incredible. Somebody's asking, how can I turn AI generated responses into questions into human intelligence responses without a trace of being detected as having used AI? So this is augmentation type of stuff. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Tony. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's a complex one because there's three or four different vectors in that same question. Um, First of all, I'll let you know the EU AI Act, by the way, does require that you inform someone who's interacting with an AI that they're interacting with an AI. It's a
Mhm.
requirement under the EU AI Act. So in that sense, you have to be transparent that AI is being used. However, if you're trying to be covert against an attack and you don't want to be discovered as using AI because you don't want the attacker to know you're using AI, 99% of the time they won't know. There's no way an attacker will realize what you're doing with against them as a countermeasure. Um, and if they are, I wouldn't worry yet about that because there's no tool they can use to counteract AI effectively.
Wow, that's pretty. That's it's we're not just living in a changing world. We're in a different domain altogether. Everything is changed. Like you don't realize that the depth and also there was a question, Tony, that I was discussing with one of my friends. We're talking about offline AI, which is
Mhm.
sovereign data protection, sovereign systems that are built to literally just kind of like avoid the internet. Tell
Yeah.
us a little about that. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, indeed. So if you use something like Llama, which I
Yeah,
mentioned earlier in the slideshow, you can
yeah,
build your own localized open, it's called open, but it's really closed for you, an
yeah,
open AI that you have locally inside of your machine.
yeah,
Now, my guy that built this AI engine to scan our source code, that's what he did. But I
yeah.
gave him a very powerful laptop to do it on. You want something that's got some horsepower to do this correctly. And if you really want to do it, spend the $3,000 or $4,000 to get yourself a proper AI ready computer, like something that's running an NVIDIA chipset in it for the AI. AI operations. Those machines will consume much more power. You will feel it on your power bill. It'll be a noticeable bump because you're hungry. But
Yeah.
with that tool at your disposal, the sky's the limit what you can build. It's crazy.
Wow. They say they drink water. They feed on water. It's like, it's this concept of these are actual, it's like a spirit that you're feeding, literally almost,
Absolutely.
so it's interesting, really interesting. And I think we have one last question. Given the big data generated with people connected to the internet, together with the billions of the growing, is it IoT devices? How are AI security domains pre-secured in these infrastructures and also ensuring they don't hallucinate or reduce AI risks?
Right. Oh, yeah. It's insane the risk level when you talk about IoT in the mix and
Yeah.
you have AI sitting on an internet-based connection. Uh, so there's standards specific to different regions or different areas of operations, I guess. 62443, for example, it's not truly an ISO standard, but it is an IES standard. It's associated with ISO. It's meant to secure IoT.
Mhm.
Now that standard was updated, I think, a year and a half ago to include AI risks as well, because
Mhm.
takeover of IoT devices is child's play. Even before IT or before AI, sorry, it was very easy to take over IoT devices. Things like cameras in your house or heating thermostat controllers in your house or things like that, they become agents for you. You can just put a bit of malicious code on them, tell them all to turn on at the same time, do the same thing, and suddenly you're flooding the world with an attack. It's been proven in real life. The eastern seaboard of the US was taken down a few years ago by an IoT-based attack. And
Wow.
if I'm really malicious, I'll tell my AI engine only target IoT devices and only target them in these specific areas and only target the ones that are running water operations, for example, water purification plants, and tell them to really inject a lot of chlorine to make the water undrinkable. And that type of attack happened in a state in the US, in Florida, a year and a half ago, and it was successful. It made the water undrinkable until they managed to figure out it was a controller, an IoT device that had been compromised. That whole set of controllers had been taken over.
Wow.
So
Wow.
those attacks are real and they are definitely happening in some places. Ukraine has been attacked multiple times with attacks that smell awfully badly of having AI behind them because they're so widespread and so fast on the
Mm.
infrastructure side. So it's
Wow.
definitely happening today. The risks are real.
Wow, wow, wow. That's incredible. And what is, you mentioned the machine. What would be the best computer model to buy if you're building your own AI, say an offline model that you're building? What would be the recommended spec?
Yeah, having your typical 16 megabytes of RAM or something isn't enough. You
No.
need to start very high, like 64 megs is where you want to be to really do it correctly. And you
Okay.
want that NVIDIA chipset that's actually running the NVIDIA AI for you, the AI hosting system, I should say, inside your machine.
Mhm.
You can get these machines almost anywhere now. In fact, Amazon had a sale on them on their last Amazon Prime days online. You could buy it at a $3,000 discount. So it was only
Wow,
$3,000. It was a good
wow,
discount.
wow.
So watch for deals on them. But these chipsets, once you get a hold of one of these guys, it's so much different working on those. They're very fast, and when you're building AI on them, it's no wait time at all. It's incredible.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you. I have one last question for the audience. And so someone wants to make a lot of money into cybersecurity because obviously it seems to me that that's a really, really it's an incredible market to get in right now. It's kind of like at the beginning of when data started to become really relevant and people got into data and they were getting paid thousands of dollars per hour. What would be the recommended in terms of where would they focus on the prevention of attacks, on protecting, or is it aftermath? Where would you, if you had to start again today, based on what you know, Tony, where would you start to say, I want to position myself right?
Danny, that's a really good question. That's a good way to frame it. Where would I start today? There's two different kind of fields right now you can think about. You can think about the technical side of AI security versus the regulatory and compliance side. The compliance side is going to be for anybody who's comfortable with understanding frameworks and how to apply them. That's a great place to go right now. There's opportunities to make sure people are compliant with the EU AI Act, for example. And honestly, when you boil it down, there's like a 5-step principle to the EU AI Act. If you know this, you just audit people against those principles and say, look, here's what you need to do. Okay, let's see. Yep, you're compliant. You should be okay for the EU AI Act compliance.
Mhm.
That's one way you can think of it. You can also look at being an actual auditor for AI-based frameworks like ISO 42001, well, it's a standard, but you can become an auditor for that. You can also become an implementer for that to help people implement it. Two different ways you can think about that in the compliance side.
Wow.
On the
Thank-
more technical side of things, you want to make sure I would say right now, I would look at more the pen testing side, testing against the OWASP top 10 for LLMs, testing against the meter attack framework Atlas for AI. If you can test against those, you can tell people, look, we've tested your AI and we know it's secure and it's secure against these standards. That will help them be compliant with things like 42001, the EU AI Act, but also any customer that asks.
Okay. Wow, that is incredible. Thank you. There was somebody had put their hand up, and there was another seemingly very difficult question here, but I'll ask and then we close. That was the last question. What are the recent developments in the detection and prevention of phishing attacks against Gen AI? So that's one question. And then if you have your hand up, just type in a box and say yes, I want to talk, or it could have been that you tapped it by accident. I think the hand has gone down. Tony, go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so phishing right now has evolved. This attack that I saw just last week, it used a phishing component to deliver it, but it was actually built by AI. You could tell because it was just too fast with the way it evolved. The trick with AI in linking it to phishing is you don't know often that it specifically is using AI unless they've done something in the phishing email to impersonate someone or to do a deep fake of someone. Then you can probably tell it's an AI-based attack. There's no specific way to defend against those aside from using the old techniques against phishing and just enhancing the training for your staff and your team members to understand deep fakes are real. I know it doesn't sound correct to say that. It sounds contradictory, but deep fakes are real. They exist, and they are very dangerous. So you want to train your staff in how to recognize them and how to pick them out. I've been asked to build a course on this for another organization in the US, build a course on detecting deepfakes because it's a bit of an art to it, but there are some basics you can use to detect it as well. So on the security side and on organizational side, look up how to detect deepfakes. There's online instruction guides, there's online training on this as well, and online tools you can get to do this.
Wow. Tony, honestly, for me, yeah, this has been ridiculously good. It's been really, really good. And I'm not saying that the previous presenters were not as good. This has been really eye-opening for me. I guess maybe I'm wired into this stuff. It's been really incredible. And also, I pray that as we register ourselves with GSDC, we have access to this type of data, this intricacy in terms of how you explain things and how you develop this into a course, because you've given us the outline and the synopsis of it, but I'm sure there's a lot embedded in the background that we need to go through and fully understand it so it's usable. So thank you on behalf of Vision Africa AI. I think you've been tremendous. I really hope we can have you back here again. And yeah, I will sneak in. I'll be in touch. I'll be asking questions, definitely. But thank you so much. Thank you. So on that note, I think everybody appreciates you. If you're happy, guys, just give a virtual clap for Tony for spending his time with us. This is from passion. This is not an assignment. This is not a money thing. This is really somebody who's actually saying, look, I'm ready to give you my intellectual property, and you don't have, none of us have paid anything to Tony. And this is sponsored by GSDC and also Vision Africa as a collaboration. But to have that kind of level of education is incredible. Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you.
My pleasure, and I'm happy to share.
Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. All right, that's it. That's it, everybody. Thank you. I don't know if there was anything else we needed to discuss, but that's it. I think that's me over and out. Thank you. God bless you all. And again, Tony, thank you. Thank you to the directors, Vision Africa, and Mariam and Lewis in the background doing a tremendous job. And to all our guests today, you've been tremendous. Thank you so much for being patient and your questions. And if there's anything else that you need, if you want to register to start the course, get in touch with Mariam. She's actually posted the recording already on YouTube. So you can actually get in touch and get yourself registered to start this course immediately. And that's it. All right. Bye-bye now. Thank you.